In the early 90s, the concept of backing up games was both fascinating and controversial. While companies marketed devices like the Super Pro Fighter Q+ for game preservation and personal backups, they inevitably became part of the piracy scene. Today, we're going to take a look at this device, what it could do, how it worked, and what limitations it had. When you boot up the Pro Fighter Q+, the first thing you see is a copy warning. It states that you should only make legal backups with permission, and that the company takes no responsibility of how you use it. Of course, in reality, this wasn't stopping anyone. One of the great features of the Pro Fighter Q+ is that it can format and write directly to 3.5-inch floppy disks without needing a PC. That means you can back up your entire cartridge collection directly to disk. But if you want to store backups on a hard drive, you can also copy them to your PC. Here's what that looks like when you browse the disk on a computer. Let's back up an 8 megabit game, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Since this game doesn't use any special chips, the backup process is simple. It fits on a single floppy, and we can choose between a single file backup or multiple smaller files. Once written, we can load it from the floppy without needing the cartridge in the slot. Resetting the SNES just resets the game itself. It doesn't bring us back to the Pro Fighter menu, not until we power off and on the machine. Another built-in feature is Goldfinger, which functions like a game genie. You can enter cheat codes to modify games in real time, giving yourself infinite lives, etc. Back in the day, this was a great addition, but finding the right codes wasn't always easy. The Pro Fighter Q+ also has a real-time save feature, letting you create a save state at any moment. But when I tested it on this system, the game froze when trying to load my save. Maybe I was just unlucky, because I remember when I used to have a Pro Fighter 32 megabit version of this system, I never had that problem. Please let me know in the comments if you've successfully been able to make this work. Now let's back up Street Fighter II. It's a 16 megabit game, which means it won't fit on a single floppy. The Pro Fighter automatically asks for a second disk when needed. Once backed up, the game runs just fine. Now let's try Star Fox, which uses the Super Effects chip. Even when playing directly from the cartridge through the Pro Fighter, I only get a black screen with sound. I don't recall having this issue on my old Pro Fighter X. I also remember when running a backup that as long as I had a cart with the effects chip in the slot above, I would be able to play my backed up games. This doesn't seem to be working now. Please let me know if I'm mistaken with my memory or if you've had the same experience. Games with battery backed up saves pose another issue. The Pro Fighter Q+ won't back up the save file itself on the cartridge. It only saves your progress when playing a game through the device. Those saves are stored using the battery inside the unit. Taking a look inside the device, here's the battery that stores saved games. It needs to be replaced periodically. Also check out the slot connector. It's designed to fit both the Super Famicom and the SNES, making the device versatile for different regions. The device also has 24 megabits of memory, but there are 2 empty slots here where you could upgrade it to 32 megabits. I will list the required chips in the description, but if anyone knows a good source for these, please let me know. Some games had built-in copy protection, like my copy of Super Metroid. When I tried to load the backup that I made, the game detects it and refuses to play. So while most games worked, some titles actively fought back. And what happens when you try to load a game that needs more memory than you have on your Pro Fighter? You can back up the game to floppies, but you won't be able to play it. If I'm able to upgrade to 32 megabits, it would work just fine. So that's the Super Pro Fighter Q Plus, a fascinating piece of history that lets you back up your games, load from floppy disks, and even use cheat codes. But it had its limitations, from memory restrictions to copy-protected games. If you had one of these back in the day, or still do, let me know your experience in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I strive to use real console hardware wherever possible to bring you the most authentic comparisons. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting me via Patreon, YouTube memberships, or even hardware donations. Every bit of support helps to keep the nostalgia alive.